Good evening. I'm sure you're all having a good conference in South Africa and about to or will have had an excellent meal. And it's a pleasure to be with you, even if only in this remote way. Now, if we're thinking about climate change and the economic opportunities and investments involved, it's a good idea at the beginning to remind ourselves why this is so important for the planet. If we go on under business as usual, sometime by the end of this century, we'll get to concentrations of greenhouse gases, which would take us to 5 degrees centigrade above the 19th century. That would involve movements of hundreds of millions of people. We haven't been at 5 degrees centigrade above as a planet for something like 30 million years. We've been around as humans only 100,000 or 200,000. That is an enormous change. It would rewrite where people would be. We're already seeing in the southwestern part of Africa a substantial drying out, and that's on the back of a 0.8 degrees centigrade increase. The kind of transformation that will take place is hard to predict in any precision as far as specific locations go, but many parts of southern Africa would probably become still more water stressed or desertified. These are the kinds of changes that we're talking about. But the very good news is that if we act strongly and act strongly now, we're likely to set off a wave of innovation and creative investment that would be much bigger than, say, the railways or the electricity in economic history. This looks like likely to be a very dynamic process, with those who get involved earliest getting the biggest advantages in terms of head starts in these new technologies. And I think the creativity in South Africa in technology is proven by its history and the skills of its engineers and entrepreneurs, technologists, scientists, I think will make South Africa one of the leaders in all this. And it could be everywhere from second or third generation biofuels to all kinds of low carbon technologies, carbon capture and storage. There could be big advantages in low-till agriculture. The range of possibilities for technology and investment are almost unlimited. Buildings, of course, will be a very big area where glass and insulation and efficiency and generation of solar energy through buildings. There are so many exciting opportunities, and I believe that South African business would be very well placed to take these. If you look around the world at the way in which businesses are getting ready for this and big fund managers are getting ready for this, it's really rather remarkable. I was at a meeting in New York on September the 22nd as part of the United Nations General Assembly Heads of Government meeting organised by Ban Ki-moon. There was also a group of business people, the most senior business people around the world, chaired by the chairman of DuPont. There was a whole wall of ideas of what, covering the kinds of things that people were creating and inventing, which, if only a small fraction of them worked, would be very exciting and very profitable. But at the same time, I gave a talk to some pension funds who were urging the heads of state to come to a strong deal in Copenhagen so that they could use their pension funds for the long-term investment opportunities that they were already seeing. What they needed, of course, was the definiteness of policy that would promote the new low-carbon economy. The statement from the meeting was signed by 180 funds, and they were managing something like $12 trillion of assets. So you've got the creativity, you've got the new ideas coming through very rapidly, and you've got long-term pension funds looking to get involved on a very big scale. If you look around the world and you ask who is making the running here, at the moment, I think the running is being made in Asia. The Korean recovery strategy was very strongly green. About 70% of their recovery strategy from the slowdown of the world economy of last year was green. China also had a very strong element of green infrastructure. Japan has just declared, with the new government under Prime Minister Hatoyama, for 25% reductions from between 1990 and 2020. Those three major countries have all recognized the huge benefits, the huge possibilities there are in low carbon growth. China has seen that there's not much scope now for it to expand at the rate that it's got used to by expanding its markets for manufacturing products in rich countries. Those rich country markets are not going to grow at the 8% that it's looking for. It has identified this as a big new growth area. So I think that we're all going to have to run to catch up with what's going on in Asia. But if you look at Europe, if you look at the creativity there, if you look at the creativity in the United States, I think you're seeing that other parts of the world are going to do all they can to catch up with East Asia on this very big growth story of the future. So the bottom line, I think, is that this is something that's going to happen. This is something where if you don't get involved, you'll get left behind. This is something where if you don't get involved, then your consumers and potential shareholders will worry. I teach at a university where the students take very seriously the kind of firm that they're going to work for. So as well as there being great opportunities out there of the kind that I described, I think there are also risks about not getting involved. Not simply that one is not acquiring the basic skills that are necessary for these kinds of markets, but beyond that, I think there are real worries on reputational risk, on risk of involvement of shareholders, risks of potential employees being slightly unhappy about joining firms that get left behind. So I think whichever way that we look at this, there is a tremendous opportunity for South Africa. South Africa has great strengths in creativity. South Africa has a tradition of looking to the future and asking where it's going. So I would congratulate you on having your meeting. I hope you have a very productive time, and I think the whole story of low carbon growth will be a story where South Africa can play a very important role.